Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. Uh, so we are heading into the heart of earnings season. We're getting closer to the heart of earnings season. It kind of started this week with the banks, and it'll continue next week with more banks, and it'll really only pick up now through the end of the month. Um, it is a short week, so the market is closed on Monday because of the MLK holiday. But once we get back into trading on Tuesday, things will pick up from there. So Goldman Sachs, big report before the open on Tuesday morning, priced in about 14.5 points. It doesn't always follow the big money center banks, and it can be pretty volatile around earnings. And it was down a lot today off the J.P. Morgan report. Well, J.P. Morgan Citi Wells reports. Um, I don't have much of a read on it, but the chart does seem due for a move because I mean today's drop put it at the bottom end of support. Also, I mean obviously a huge gap to be filled on the way back up now. Um, I I might prefer to wait and see how earnings go first, and then maybe jump in for a trade. Just because after J.P. Morgan, I mean, kind of like threw a little bit of like a wrench in like the move on the banks, but I mean, it's something that I feel like can move quite a bit around earnings, and then it can also string together days. So if even if I miss the first move, there might be opportunity for like continuation on top of that. So more like wait and see. After the close on Tuesday, JB Hunt priced in about 13 points. I can't remember the last time I traded a trucker, but this has been a steady performer since its strong quarter in October. People love value plays right now, so maybe there's more interest again this quarter. I'm not sure I'm going to do anything with it, but maybe worth keeping an eye on. For the open on Wednesday, more bank reports. Bank of America pricing about $1.80. I guess after the J.P. Morgan report, the bar is lower for Bank of America, but we'll have to see where it is on Wednesday because I mean it could remain under pressure. I mean, especially if on Tuesday Goldman Sachs disappoints or gets hit, right? So if it keeps dropping, then maybe I'll take a shot on the bull side just to think maybe bad news is getting close to pricing in, but I also don't know if I really want to pay up for options because $1.80 seems a little bit high for Bank of America. Um, so it'll be more also like wait and see. I mean, like it's the same thing with like the banks in general. It's just a lot of like wait and see. J.P. Morgan was the first, or J.P. Morgan Citi Wells, they were the first. So there's the element of surprise, and now after it's more of like how did the next reports compare to those first? And Morgan Stanley's priced it in four, and kind of the same idea. Its chart is a little bit more similar to Goldman. It tends to move more similar to Goldman. So we'll have to see where it is after Goldman's report because that could definitely impact it. Also, Wednesday before the open, ASML is pricing about 42 points. Big semi report. Taiwan Semi had a really strong quarter this past week, and that lifted the semi equipment names. That was this day here. Um, ASML, it is coming off a mixed quarter in October, though, and it's been in a lower range for a month. Um, I feel like option pricing seems kind of high to me at 42. So I may hold off playing options here, but what you could look at is maybe like AMAT, LRCX, CLAC. Those could be sympathy movers off of this ASML report. Also, another big name Wednesday before the open, UNH priced in about 17.5 points. So this is more interesting now after Humana's big warning. So this UNH drop. This big down day is off of Humana warning, and UNH is still about like 30 plus points off its recent high. And October's report was solid. So the option pricing isn't cheap, but it does seem like it could be a quarter where it moves because of that big drop off Humana. So if I can get a risk down, maybe I'll look at a volatility strategy on that one. After the close on Wednesday, Alcoa, so pricing in about 5 points. Solid looking. It's been steadily walking higher. It actually had a pretty big pop on earnings in October too. So you have a bull flag set up after a strong quarter in October. Seems like a overall maybe more of like a positive setup going into earnings. But also like the miners have been more like swing focuses for me. So like specifically for like an earnings trade, I feel like it might be something like if you're not in it, maybe wait and see, or if you are in it, kind of like manage accordingly. Also, Wednesday after the close is UAL. So they're pricing about 2.5 points. Delta reported this week was solid. Now you have United and American reporting this coming week. It's not really a group I trade that often, and even after Delta's report, these airlines don't really look all that compelling for trade opportunities. So I think I'm gonna leave them alone. Before they open on Thursday, like I said, AAL, BKR. So Baker Hughes. This is the first of the energy reports for next week. The price in at about $1.30. So it's going to have some importance because it's first. Banks rallied as value plays, but then were dumped on earnings. So it's going to be interesting to see how energy reacts because some of these have really rallied pretty sharply in 2022. BKR is at an interesting technical spot. It's right at the top of like a long range. Um, and like it could be like a breakout candidate if the numbers are good. So either, I might look at something speculative on the bull side, but also what's interesting is that BKR and Schlumberger both report next week and Halliburton doesn't. So maybe Halliburton sets up as a sympathy play. UMP, so about 8 points was priced in. Big rail report. Stock has been sideways above 240. I mean, had a giant move in October and it's been hanging out. It looks due for a move. It's also, I mean, the rails are another group I haven't really traded much recently, but I mean, really solid looking chart, and it has a history of some larger swings around earnings. So maybe it could be a decent volatility strategy candidate because option pricing doesn't seem too crazy either. Thursday after the close, so a big one, Netflix, pricing in about 40 points. It's the big tech name of the week, and they just raised, like literally just a few minutes ago, announced that they'd be raising prices. So that's interesting. I mean, a big headline right ahead of earnings. So the stock you can see has been crushed. I mean, before today's bounce, I mean, he'd given back almost 200 points, actually a little bit over 200 points off its high. It's below all of its moving averages. So I mean, they're really going to need to deliver. The last few quarters, it hasn't been paid on earnings, but also the last few quarters, it's rallied into earnings. The last quarter where it really didn't rally into earnings was, interestingly enough, January of last year, and like that's the quarter where it had a big pop on earnings, right? So there's a lot of things going on with Netflix. I mean, tech has been a little bit heavier as a group in general. Netflix has gotten beaten up a bit more than others lately. Um, I I'm on the fence with it. I mean, if it continues to rebound into earnings, then maybe it sets up like a more of like a volatility strategy, assuming I can get risk down. If it stays down here, maybe I'd maybe look at something just on the bull side, but I'm kind of on the fence with it. I mean, I know it's going to be a big report next week, and I know a lot of people are going to be focused on it, but I mean, I don't like that it's dropped straight down going into earnings. Like those are typically scenario or setups I avoid. So we'll have to wait and see where it is on Thursday. But if it does rally, I think that could be a little bit better setup than if it stays down here. And also Thursday after the close is ISRG, but they just guided at the JP Morgan conference, so it's going to be probably going to be an avoid during the week. Like that's my rule of thumb. If a company guides early, I tend to avoid it on the actual report. And then lastly, Friday before the open, Schlumberger, so about $1.75 is what's priced in. Baker Hughes reports the previous day, so that's going to remove some of the uncertainty with Schlumberger. But again, Halliburton doesn't report next week. They will probably, or it should, my guess, move off of the Baker Hughes and Schlumberger reports because those three stocks are pretty closely correlated. So Baker Hughes, Schlumberger, Halliburton doesn't report. Maybe I'll look at some Halliburton options for a sympathy move on that one. All right, that's it. So you can see, I mean, it's definitely starting to get busier. I mean, minus maybe like Netflix and ASML, it's definitely going to be a week dominated by value type names. So, just get ready for a busy stretch here. So if you liked this video and you're looking for more information about trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a fantastic long weekend. If you're traveling, have a safe trip. Stay well, and I will talk to you all on Tuesday.